Welcome to Science with Shields. I'm meteorologist Christy Shields, and today we're doing some fun science with some candy canes. I'm really super excited about this. Now, this could easily go quickly wrong, but hopefully we can do this, fingers crossed, pretty easily. And I'm going to remember to look straight at the camera today because I forgot in the last couple. But anyways, we are going to show how we can change the shape of a candy cane, and that is through the process of heating it. So what you'll need is some candy canes, which this time of the year is pretty easy to find. You'll also need a cookie sheet, which I think during this time of the year, everyone's using cookie sheets at this point, and also some parchment paper. And that's basically all you need, along with an oven. So first we're going to take the parchment paper and we're going to put that on the cookie sheet. So sorry for the crinkling noises at this point. Hopefully I can get that. All right. And we're going to stick this onto our cookie sheet. And I always have issues with it always flipping up, but all right. So we have our parchment paper on. I may cut it off a little bit so it is fitting in our sheet a little bit better. People who are better in the kitchen will have a better chance at this than me. All right, and what we're gonna do is I've already preheated the oven to 250 degrees, and basically we're going to put the candy canes in the oven at 250 degrees between 5 to 10 minutes. You really want to pay attention when you're doing this, how long that the candy canes are in there. So we're going to unwrap our candy canes now. Oh, I broke it already, but that's fine. We'll put that in there. And then we'll unwrap another one. It's always so hard to make sure not to break a candy cane. And that kind of shows you how brittle candy canes are, which kind of will show how this experiment is really neat whenever we do it. All right, so hopefully I can successfully open this one without breaking it. Will I succeed? Who knows? While we're doing this, I love candy canes. I love anything that is peppermint flavored or mint flavored. So my favorite time of the year is this time of the year because everything seems to have a mint flavor to it, which is really cool. And I also, my favorite Christmas cookie, since we're kind of baking today a little bit, I like the ones with the peanut butter and then the Hershey Kiss on top. Those are my favorite. I don't know what yours is. Comment on this and let us know what your favorite cookie is. Okay. So we've got our candy canes on our cookie sheet, and we're going to go stick this in the oven. And I already, again, had preheated the oven at 250 degrees. So we're going to just stick this in. And we're going to wait. Now, while we're waiting for that to bake, we are going to set an alarm so that we remember for 5 minutes. So I'm going to just use my phone, but you can use any timer, obviously. And we'll set it for 5 minutes to start. And we'll wait for that. So I'm going to show you an example of what we're going to do here. So here is a look at our candy cane, what it looked like when we first started. Now, first I want to show you an example of what not to do. So this is kind of, if you let the candy cane in too long, if you kind of forget that it's in the oven, it's going to melt like this. And you don't want this to happen, okay? This is not really what we're going for, but again, still delicious if you want to eat it later. Just make sure that it's cool before you eat it. And then also, this is kind of what we're going to try to do. So I experimented yesterday, took this candy cane, put it in the oven, and you won't really notice it deforming just a little bit. You'll notice it deforming slightly, and then you can mold it into any shape you want to. So this is what it looks like once we're done with the experiment, which is really neat. Now you will have to mold it pretty quickly. Again, this was a normal candy cane because it will cool very fast, and that can be an issue. So we want to also be careful. Again, parents, make sure to help the kiddos out when you're doing this and make sure you're the one sticking it in the oven and then also taking it out of the oven. And that way everyone is safe, and you may want to touch the candy cane first to make sure that it's not too hot and that it is moldable. But it will be a very fast reaction, and it will go back to where it should be very quickly. If we take a look at the graphic, we can kind of explain the science behind this before we do this. So candy is made of crystals, and the sugar crystals, that's what gives it its shape. So when the heated sugar crystals, when they're heated, they will loosen the bonds, but they will not break the bonds. And whenever those bonds are loose, that's when you can shape the candy into different shapes. Now, when it is cold, the bonds reform and it will keep that new shape. So again, this one that I already have created, it's already hard. And again, now it'll be breakable. But whenever I molded it, you couldn't break it even if you tried. Again, but it will happen very quickly. So I'll show you that again. So this is what I molded the other day. And here is what it will look like in the oven if you accidentally leave it in too long. Again, it becomes very flat and thin, and it's, again, breakable just like a candy cane. So let's see how much time we have here. It looks like we have 2 more minutes. I'm going to check on the oven just to see how we're doing in here because I did preheat the oven. And it looks like the candy canes still have their shape, so we're going to wait a little bit longer and see how that goes. Again, we have 2 minutes until it's about 5 minutes, and it can take between 5 to 10 minutes when we are doing this. So we're going to keep an eye out on that. So let's explain this once again. It's a chemical reaction. It doesn't seem like it because we're baking, but it's the science behind it. The fact that when you add heat, things can change and become moldable because you're breaking those bonds. And then when it cools very quickly, I mean, at some points, less than a minute, this can cool. And it goes back to that hard but new shape that you have created, and it becomes reformed, which is really, really neat. And it should work with any type of candy cane because most candy canes are made out of sugar. So shouldn't have any issues with that. And we will get to the point where we can show that. But in the meantime, we can clean up our mess a little bit. I know I had parchment paper everywhere. And this is the hardest part, I always feel like, with science, because sometimes you have to wait for those reactions to happen. So again, we are here waiting for our candy canes to be done, and we'll check that out in a minute. But overall, again, any candy cane will work, even if you break them, as long as you have the long stem part. It's pretty simple. You can mold that as well, but it is really, really neat whenever we get this done. So let's see how much more time. We have about a minute, and we will check in and see if it's melted a little bit. But let's see, what other favorite things do we like around this time of the year? Again, I was saying peanut butter cookies with the Hershey on top. That's my favorite. I love sugar cookies that don't have any icing on them. I don't know if anyone else likes those. Anybody here in the studio? Kevin A., one of our photographers, he's saying that he likes sugar cookies too. Those are always good. And it's always fun whenever you're baking because you can kind of find the science and follow along with it. So let's check in one more time with this, see what we've got going on. All right, see, it looks like we may need to wait just a little bit longer. Again, I'm very impatient. I don't know about everybody else if they're impatient too. So we'll keep waiting. We'll keep thinking about Christmas. So what are the other favorite things about the holidays? I love seeing everybody's lights and putting up the Christmas tree. And favorite Christmas song? I love them all. I think they're really good. And so it's always a great time of the year to be able to listen to that. And again, enjoy your favorite treat. Kevin, what is your favorite treat? Oh, there's our thing. So we'll put the timer on for a little bit longer because it doesn't, we just checked. What is your favorite candy at Christmas time? Do you like mint? He's Chris, do you like mint stuff? I guess I'm the only one who enjoys mint. I have to say, like we were talking about earlier in the season, whenever it was Halloween time, I cannot stand candy corn. I'm not a fan of it at all. It's disgusting, but I love a candy cane. I'll eat a candy cane anytime, any place. So yeah. All right, so we're gonna wait a couple more minutes here, and again, it takes between 5 to 10 minutes for this to be moldable, but we don't wanna get it too far. I'm gonna check in one more time. Looks like we may be okay. We'll wait one more minute. We'll wait one more minute on it. And I'm gonna get these so that I end up not burning myself, because that is super important whenever you are cooking. And again, this will be hot even though it's at 250 degrees is hot, even though it's not one of those higher temperatures that we typically use when we are baking. Check the timer here because I did set it for a little bit longer. So it looks like I'll stop it here and see if we can take this out and see what happens. All right. And I may pull it out here a second and see. Up, we're good to go. Okay. So I'm gonna take this out of the oven. And again, this reaction will happen very quickly. And I'll sit that there, and then I'll pull the parchment paper off. And again, we can mold into whatever shape we would want. So we can make a circle with our candy cane, and we can make anything, because look how bendable it is. Do you see this? And that is because, again, we didn't break the candy bonds, we just loosened them up. And oops, and again, this will very quickly go back to where you can't mold this. About a minute or 2 minutes you have to make whatever shape you possibly want with your candy cane. And then it's going to get really cold. And once it does, it turns into this brittle stuff that you can once again break in half as it cools. So let's take a look really quickly at that science one more time if we can bring up the graphic. Again, candy is made of crystals. That's what gives it its shape. When it's heated, the crystals will loosen the bonds, but it will not break. When cold, the bonds will reform, keeping the new shape of whatever you decided to create. And that is our bendy candy cane experiment here on Science with Shields. Thanks for checking it out. Remember, new episodes air on Tuesdays.